On July 15, 2021, 23-year-old Emily Chambers set out on what was supposed to be a 3-day solo hike along the Iceline Trail in Banff National Park. According to park records, she checked in at the visitor center at 7:42 a.m., registered her planned route, and was captured on security footage entering the trailhead at 8:15 a.m. She never returned to her vehicle. The search lasted 19 days before being officially suspended. 2 years later, on August 3, 2023, a family taking photographs at Moraine Lake spotted a woman standing motionless at the water's edge, staring at her reflection and smiling. It was Emily Chambers. She was severely malnourished, had healed fractures in both legs, and kept repeating, "The water shows who you really are." The medical examination revealed something else: microscopic fibers embedded in her skin that didn't match any natural material in the park. But what happened during those 2 years, and who kept her, you will find out in this video. Emily worked as a freelance photographer specializing in wilderness landscapes. Her trip to Banff was planned as both recreation and an opportunity to expand her portfolio. The timestamp on the parking lot security camera shows her vehicle, a 2018 blue Honda Civic, entering the Take-A-Cow Falls parking area at 8:03 a.m. The footage shows her adjusting her backpack, a distinctive red Osprey, and checking what appears to be a map. She wore hiking boots, dark green cargo pants, and a light gray moisture-wicking shirt. Her hair was pulled back in a ponytail, and she carried a black Canon EOS camera around her neck. At 8:15 a.m., she scanned her park pass at the trailhead electronic checkpoint. The weather that day was clear, with temperatures around 68 degrees. According to her hiking permit, she planned to camp at the Little Yoho Valley campground that night, continue along the Iceline Trail the following day, and return to her vehicle on July 17th by 5 p.m. At 10:27 a.m., Emily uploaded a photo to her Instagram account, a vista point approximately 3.2 miles into the trail. The geotag confirmed her location. This was the last digital footprint she would leave. The file indicates Emily had submitted a detailed itinerary to both park officials and her roommate, Kate Peterson. When Emily failed to return by 8 p.m. on July 17th as planned, Peterson called park rangers at 9:13 p.m. to report her missing. According to the incident report, Ranger Michael Lowry conducted an initial check of the parking area at 10:45 p.m. and confirmed Emily's Honda Civic was still in the lot. The car was locked, and no personal items were visible inside. This triggered the first stage of search protocols. At 6 a.m. on July 18th, an initial team of 6 rangers and 2 search and rescue volunteers began searching along Emily's planned route. By noon, no sign of her had been found at either her designated first night's campsite or along the main trail. The search coordinator, Ranger Teresa Walker, noted in her log that Emily's tent was not set up at Little Yoho Valley Campground, and none of the other campers reported seeing her. At 2:30 p.m., the search was expanded with helicopter support and K-9 units. The protocol states we perform an outward spiral search from the last known location, Ranger Walker explained in her report. The dogs picked up Emily's scent along the main trail for approximately 4.8 miles, where it deviated onto a less traveled path. The transcript notes that the path would not have been a logical route choice based on her registered itinerary. The scent trail ended abruptly at a rocky outcropping near Emerald Lake. Dogs can lose the scent on rocky terrain, the K-9 unit report states. It doesn't necessarily indicate anything suspicious. However, the deviation from the trail raised concerns. By July 20th, the search team had expanded to 27 people, with thermal imaging equipment deployed via helicopter. The thermal imaging yielded 3 false positives: heat signatures from local wildlife and sun-warmed rock formations. On July 21st, searchers found a lens cap matching the model of Emily's Canon camera, approximately 30 feet off the side trail where the dogs had tracked her scent. The following day, a single hiking boot, confirmed as Emily's size and brand, was discovered half buried in mud nearly 500 yards from the lens cap location. The boot showed signs of being forcibly removed rather than slipping off. The incident was reclassified from missing hiker to possible criminal investigation. The case file indicates that the RCMP, Royal Canadian Mounted Police, joined the search on July 22nd, with Inspector Daniel Moreau assigned as lead investigator. Soil samples were collected from the boot and sent for analysis. The search continued with increased urgency, but no further evidence was found. On August 3rd, after 19 days, the active search was officially suspended. The incident report concludes, exhaustive search measures have been conducted without success. Case transitions to missing persons investigation status. Emily's parents, Robert and Susan Chambers, continued to organize volunteer searches throughout the fall, until weather conditions made further efforts impossible. They established a $50,000 reward for information leading to her discovery. The case remained open but inactive. Then, 2 years later, on August 3rd, 2023, exactly 2 years after the official search was suspended, Emily Chambers was found. The Davenport family was visiting Moraine Lake, one of Banff's most photographed locations. At approximately 5:45 a.m., they were setting up for sunrise photos when their 10-year-old daughter pointed out a woman standing at the water's edge. According to their statement, the woman was unnaturally thin with long, unkempt hair, wearing what appeared to be oversized men's clothing, a flannel shirt and work pants held up with a rope. She stood motionless, staring at her reflection in the lake, smiling. James Davenport approached her and asked if she needed help. The transcript of his statement reads, "She didn't respond at first, just kept staring at the water. When I got closer, I noticed how thin she was. Her cheekbones I could see every bone. When she finally looked at me, her eyes were like she wasn't really there. Then she said something about the water showing who she really was. I asked her name and she said Emily, in this flat voice." Davenport's wife, Maria, called Park Emergency Services at 5:52 a.m. Ranger Colin Blackwood arrived at 6:17 a.m. and immediately requested medical support. The medical response log indicates Emily was responsive but disoriented. Her core temperature was 94.8 degrees Celsius, mild hypothermia. She weighed 92 pounds, approximately 40 pounds less than her pre-disappearance weight. The initial assessment noted, patient exhibits signs of severe malnourishment, healed fractures to both tibius, scarring around wrists and ankles consistent with prolonged restraint. Emily was transported to Banff Mineral Springs Hospital and later transferred to Calgary for more comprehensive care. The admitting physician, Dr. Sarah Lynn, documented patient presence with severe malnutrition, vitamin D deficiency consistent with prolonged absence of sunlight exposure, dental deterioration, and evidence of multiple healed fractures that appear to have been set without professional medical intervention. Most concerning are the microscopic blue-green fibers embedded in the skin of her wrists, ankles, and around her neck. These fibers do not match any natural material found in the park environment. During initial questioning, Emily provided fragmented information. According to the interview transcript, she claimed she had fallen from the trail and injured her leg. "I couldn't walk," she stated. "I crawled to a cave. Someone found me. He said he was a park ranger. He took me to his cabin to help." When asked about the cabin's location, Emily became unresponsive. The transcript notes she began rocking back and forth. When questioned about how long she stayed at this cabin, she replied, "Until the water showed me who I really was." Inspector Moreau, who had led the original investigation, was reassigned to the case. His initial assessment, documented in the case file, questioned the credibility of Emily's story. "The subject's account contains significant inconsistencies with physical evidence," he wrote. "The healed fractures to both legs would not result from a single fall. The vitamin D deficiency indicates prolonged confinement without sunlight. The restraint marks contradict a scenario of voluntary habitation or medical care. As Emily's physical condition stabilized, inconsistencies in her story became more apparent. Medical records documented a pattern of injuries inconsistent with her claimed accident. The bone density analysis indicated the fractures in her right leg had occurred approximately 18 months before her discovery, while the left leg fractures were roughly 14 months old. Neither had been properly set, resulting in slight deformities. The restraint marks showed evidence of long-term, repeated binding, inconsistent with medical immobilization. Dr. Lin's report stated, "The pattern of scarring indicates the patient was restrained in at least 3 different positions over a prolonged period. The wrist and ankle marks show evidence of both metal and fiber restraints. The neck scarring is consistent with a collar-like device worn for months." Most significantly, Emily's teeth showed damage consistent with nutritional deficiencies and forced restraint. 2 molars exhibit damage patterns consistent with biting down on a hard object regularly, possibly to prevent screaming, the dental report noted. Inspector Moreau documented his growing suspicion. The subject's physical condition contradicts her narrative of being helped by a park ranger. We must consider the possibility that the subject is either protecting someone or suffering from traumatic memory alterations. He ordered a toxicology screen, which detected trace amounts of several psychoactive compounds, including scopolamine, a drug known to cause memory impairment and suggestibility. The transcript shows Moreau's questioning became more direct. "Emily, the person who found you was not a park ranger, was he?" She did not respond verbally, but the interview notes record that she began trembling. When shown photos of official park ranger uniforms, she became visibly distressed. "Not like that," she said. "Different patch, blue mountain with green trees." No such patch existed in the official Banff National Park insignia. Forensic analysis of the fibers embedded in Emily's skin identified them as a synthetic blend used in specialized carpet manufacturing, specifically a type used in sound dampening applications. The lab report stated, "This specific polymer compound is not commonly available to consumers. Primary applications include recording studios, high-end home theaters, and certain industrial settings where sound containment is required." Investigators expanded their search parameters to include properties within a 50-mile radius of where Emily was last seen that might contain such materials. This yielded 14 potential locations, including 3 recording studios, 2 industrial facilities, and 9 private residences with high-end entertainment spaces. One property drew particular attention: a remote cabin registered to Northern Sound Research, LLC, a company that, according to business records, specialized in acoustic testing in wilderness environments. The company was registered to James Whitaker, 47, a former acoustic engineer who had worked for several major recording studios before establishing his own business in 2018. The property, located approximately 12 miles from where Emily's hiking boot had been found, was not visible from main roads and had no record of electrical service. Connections. According to county records, the structure was registered as a research facility rather than a residence. On August 17, 2023, RCMP officers conducted surveillance of the property. The observation log notes, "Subject property consists of a main cabin approximately 1,200 square feet, plus a smaller outbuilding roughly 400 square feet separated by approximately 30 yards. Both structures appear well-maintained, but deliberately obscured by surrounding vegetation. No vehicles visible. Solar panels observed on main cabin roof." After 48 hours of surveillance with no sign of occupancy, investigators obtained a warrant. The entry team report describes what they found. Main cabin furnished as standard wilderness residence. Kitchen, living area, bedroom. Nothing immediately suspicious. The outbuilding, however, was constructed as a windowless structure with 3 separate interior rooms. Walls covered with the same acoustic material matching fibers found on the victim. Each room contained different restraint systems mounted to walls and floors. Center room equipped with audio recording equipment. The evidence collection log catalogs items recovered from the property, including restraint devices matching marks on victim, clothing matching description of what victim wore when found, prescription bottles for scopolamine and other psychoactive medications, digital recording equipment containing multiple audio files, hair samples matching victim's DNA, a journal written in code, a Parks Canada uniform jacket with a custom-sewn patch matching victim's description. The most disturbing finding came from the audio recordings. The forensic analysis report states, multiple recordings span the 2-year period of victim's disappearance. Content includes subjects speaking to victim, administering substances, and conducting what he refers to as voice purification sessions. In later recordings, victim can be heard repeating phrases after subject, including the phrase, "The water shows who you really are," found in multiple sessions. With this evidence, a multi-agency alert was issued for James Whitaker. Border alerts were activated, and his photograph was distributed to law enforcement agencies. The case file indicates that investigators believed Whitaker had established a pattern of approaching hikers in distress, presenting himself as a park official and offering assistance. No other victims had been identified at this point, but search parameters were expanded to include similar missing persons cases across multiple national parks. As Emily's physical recovery progressed, her psychological state remained fragmented. The psychiatric evaluation noted patient exhibits signs of severe trauma bonding, drug-induced memory alteration, and conditioned responses to specific stimuli. When recordings of male voices at certain frequencies are played, patient shows immediate physiological stress responses, including elevated heart rate, pupil dilation, and perspiration. On September 2, 2023, Emily's condition allowed for a more in-depth interview. With a trauma-specialized psychologist present, Inspector Moreau attempted to establish a clearer timeline. According to the transcript, Emily began with the same story about falling and being rescued, but when presented with photographic evidence from the cabin, her narrative changed. He wasn't a ranger, she said. The transcript notes a long pause. I was taking pictures. Off the trail, I heard water. Wanted to find the source. I slipped. My leg. I couldn't walk. He found me. Had a jacket like rangers wear. Said he had a radio at his cabin. Would call for help. She stopped speaking for several minutes. When she continued, her voice was described as monotone, as if reciting memorized text. He gave me water. It tasted strange. Everything went blurry. Woke up in a room. No windows. He said I was too injured to move, that he had called rangers, but because of my location, it would be days before they could reach us. He gave me more water, more darkness. The transcript notes Emily would not continue for the remainder of that session. In subsequent interviews conducted over several days, a more complete picture emerged through fragments of memory. Emily described being kept in 3 different rooms over the 2-year period. The first room was punishment, she stated. Complete darkness, no sound. Just nothing. When I screamed, he would play back the recording and tell me my voice was impure. The second room, according to her account, contained a mattress on the floor and a speaker system. He played sounds. Water, wind, animals. Said he was teaching me to hear properly. If I listened correctly, I got food. If not. The transcript notes Emily did not complete this sentence. The third room contained a table with restraints and recording equipment. He recorded my voice every day, made me repeat things, said he was purifying me, that my voice would be perfect for his work. When asked about the nature of this work, Emily stated, he said voices get contaminated by cities, by people, that pure voices only come from isolation. Forensic examination of Whitaker's coded journal provided additional context. The decryption report stated, subject documents what he calls voice purification protocol involving isolation, sensory manipulation, and chemical inducement to reset vocal patterns to natural harmonic state. Journal indicates subject has conducted similar research on at least 3 other individuals, names and locations encoded. On October 15, 2023, a hiker reported an abandoned vehicle at a remote trailhead in Jasper National Park, approximately 180 miles north of Banff. The vehicle was registered to James Whitaker. Search teams found a campsite approximately 2 miles from the vehicle. The evidence log notes, tent contained sleeping bag, provisions for approximately 1 week, and a journal, matching the one found at subject's property. Final entry dated October 14th reads, contamination inevitable. Protocol terminated. 300 yards from the campsite, searchers discovered Whitaker's body at the base of a cliff. The coroner's report listed the cause of death as multiple traumatic injuries consistent with fall from height. Toxicology showed high levels of the same substances found in Emily's system. The case file notes, evidence suggests subject self-administered substances before walking off cliff edge. Death ruled suicide. With Whitaker's death, the investigation shifted to identifying other potential victims. Cryptographers worked to decode the remaining journal entries. The report states 3 additional subjects referenced by initials only, locations encoded as coordinates using a substitution cipher. First set of coordinates corresponds to Mount Assiniboine Provincial Park. Second, to Olympic National Park in Washington State. Third remains undecoded. At the Mount Assiniboine location, investigators found human remains in a shallow grave. The forensic report identified them as belonging to Daniel Turner, 27, reported missing during a solo hike in 2019. The Olympic National Park coordinates led to a similar discovery, partial remains of Olivia Mendez, 31, who disappeared in 2020. Both showed evidence of fractures similar to Emily's, along with the same distinctive restraint marks. The medical file indicates Emily's physical recovery progressed slowly. By December 2023, she had gained 22 pounds and could walk unassisted, though with a permanent limp due to the improperly healed fractures. Her psychological recovery presented greater challenges. The treatment notes state, patient continues to exhibit conditioned responses to specific auditory stimuli. When exposed to running water sounds, patient becomes fixated on reflective surfaces, repeating the phrase about water showing true identity. Emily returned to her parents' home in Vancouver in January 2024. The outpatient treatment plan included physical therapy 3 times weekly and psychological counseling twice weekly. Her psychiatrist, Dr. Amelia Chen, noted, patient exhibits classic symptoms of captivity trauma compounded by chemical manipulation of memory formation. Recovery will be measured in years, not months. The case file contains follow-up notes from Inspector Moreau dated March 2024. Subject continues to struggle with chronological recollection of events. Memory retrieval is triggered by sensory inputs rather than direct questioning. When asked about specific dates, subject becomes disoriented. However, when played recording of water sounds similar to those used by Whitaker, subject recited details about feeding schedules and voice lessons with remarkable precision. In April 2024, forensic technicians completed analysis of all recording equipment from Whitaker's property. The report states, subject recorded over 700 hours of victim's voice, cataloged by date and what he termed purification stage. Earliest recordings contain victim's screams and pleas. Middle period recordings show victim repeating phrases with progressively less emotion. Final recordings feature victim speaking in a monotone voice, reciting phrases about water, reflection, and true sound. Emily's parents permitted a final interview in June 2024, conducted at their home with Dr. Chen present. The transcript notes Emily spoke more clearly than in previous sessions, but still exhibited significant memory gaps. When asked what she remembered about being found at Moraine Lake, she stated, "He told me it was time. That my voice was finally pure. He drove me there before dawn, said I should look at my reflection until I saw who I really was, that he would come back if I was still there at sunset." When asked why she remained at the lake, Emily replied, He said if I left, he would find me again, that he would know if I spoke to anyone, that my voice would tell him." The interview notes record that Emily then touched the scars on her neck. "He put something in me, said it would record my voice forever, that he would always hear me." Medical records confirm no implanted devices were found during Emily's examinations. Dr. Chen's notes suggest this was a control mechanism. The belief in constant surveillance serves as a powerful restraint long after physical captivity ends. The subject convinced the victim he maintained control over her even at a distance. The final case summary, filed by Inspector Moreau in September 2024, states, "Investigation concludes subject James Whitaker, 47, abducted at least 4 individuals between 2019 and 2021 for what he termed voice purification research. 3 victims deceased, 1 survivor." Subject's background in acoustic engineering appears to have evolved into delusional belief system regarding natural voice patterns that could only be achieved through isolation and sensory manipulation. No evidence of accomplices found. Emily continues to live with her parents. According to the most recent medical update in October 2024, she still exhibits significant trauma responses. The report states, patient maintains ritual of checking reflective surfaces throughout the day, becomes agitated if routine is disrupted, speaks minimally, primarily to immediate family members, exhibits panic response to certain sound frequencies, continues to wake during night to check windows and doors. Her father, Robert Chambers, provided a statement to investigators. "She's physically here, but part of her is still in that room. She won't go near the park, won't look at hiking gear. If she hears running water, she freezes. Stands there like she's waiting for instructions. The doctors say time will help, but..." The transcript notes he did not complete the sentence. The evidence files were transferred to storage on November 15, 2024. The case is officially closed. Emily's medical records remain active under long-term trauma treatment protocols. Her most recent statement, recorded during a therapy session on December 3, 2024, "Sometimes I still hear him telling me to listen, to really listen. And I do. I can't help it. I listen for him in every sound.